Hello everyone, LVD here, and welcome to another Cons of Tarkir sealed deck exercise. Before starting off, I want to quickly mention Bryce Nelson, who was kind enough to send me these boosters all the way from the United States, and without him we would not be making this video today, so thanks again. As usual, we're just gonna sort all the cards by color first, and once we do that, we have a better idea what our best colors are, so we can start making some decks and see how they look like. Our first pack, we have a Skultkin, Bloodfire Expert, Feat of Resistance, Dragon Scale Boon, Molting Snakeskin, Abzan Banner. Let me get these in the picture. Alright. Then a Tormenting Voice, Bloodfell Caves, Alabaster Kirin, Abomination of Godul, Brave the Sands, Caro Bloodsucker, Warden of the Eye, and our rare is a pretty sweet one, Savage Knuckleblade, and a forest. First pack, not bad. The colors seem pretty even so far. We have one land for mana fixing already, which is an important part of Cons of Tarkir sealed. You want to have as much fixing as you can get to try and play all those powerful 3-color cards. On to pack number 2, where we have an Erase, Taigam Scheming, Trumpet Blast, Segu Archer, Mardu Skull Hunter, Efreet Weapon Master, War Behemoth, another Bloodfell Caves, Mystic of the Hidden Way, Summit Prowler, Winterflame, Roar of Challenge, Secret Plans, and our rare is a Rakshasa Death Dealer. Alright, not bad. So far our fixing is in black and red, and I think Jeskai looks the most promising so far, but we have still 4 packs to go, so it can easily change. Pack number 3, we have a Wetlands Sandbar, Valley Dasher, Erase, Rite of the Serpent, Dragon Scale Boon, another Efreet Weapon Master, Siegecraft, Thornwood Falls, Jeskai Wind Scout, Abzan Banner, Kintree Invocation, Cranial Archive, Suspension Field, and our rare is a Thousand Winds. Sweet. Okay, so blue looking strong. The multicolor is pretty split. I don't think we saw any powerful Mardu cards, but I did see a lot of other powerful cards. Alright, pack number 4. We have a Crippling Chill, Anok Tracker, Defiant Strike, a Woolly Loxodon, Krumar Bondkin, War Behemoth, another Bloodfell Caves, that's the third one, Another Mystic of the Hidden Way. Summit Prowler. Sultai Banner. Burnaway. Gurmag Swiftwing. Heartpiercer Bow. And our rare is an Avalanche Dusker. Alright, so another cool Temur card. Still not sure what our best colors are so far, but blue and red look interesting. Let's say that. Our 5th pack. Wow, I'm butchering this. Alright, 5th pack. We start out with a Mardu Hateblade, Monastery Flock, Hooting Mandrills, Rite of the Serpent, Force Away, Bring Low, Rugged Highlands, Jeskai Student, Abomination of Gudul, Dazzling Ramparts, a nice Steamer Charm, another Secret Plans, and our rare is an Utter End. And we even get a foil Siegecraft. Shiny. Alright, on to the final pack. I have to say the power seems pretty evenly split among gold cards. Although we did get 2 Temur rares. Alright, Rush of Battle. Disdainful Stroke. Swift Kick. Sage Eye Harrier. Feed the Clan. Debilitating Injury, that's a very good common. Ponybag Brigade. Scout the Borders. Jeskai Banner. Karu Dreadmaw. Hordling Outburst. Sultai Flayer. A nice Monastery Swift Spear. I say nice because of the monetary value, of course. And then our rare is a Rakshasa Vizier. Alright, so we got 2 of those hard to pronounce kitty cats. And we even get a Goblin token to go with the Outburst. Okay, so now that we opened all our boosters, it's time to start browsing through our cards, see where the power lies. And we can simply do that by taking each color and removing the unplayable cards. So here in black, Karu Dreadmaw, I dread playing. This is all fine. The Gurmag Swiftwing is not great, but it can be playable. This all looks pretty good to me. The Bloodsucker isn't great either, but could be a playable. But Molting Snakeskin I would avoid playing in most decks, so I'll get rid of that as well. So as we can see in black, it's not too deep. We have a few creatures, I guess, but mostly it's the removal. We have 2 Rite of the Serpent and a Debilitating Injury. So black doesn't look too deep, but could be a splashed color just for the removal, even though Rite of the Serpent is double black, so it would only be for Debilitating Injury. Okay, moving over to green, we have Sultai Flayer, which is very good. Scout the Borders can be decent in a deck that maybe tries to delve a bit. Feed the Clan is an unplayable in my opinion, so I'll get rid of that. Hooting Mandrills is a good delve card. Woolly Loxodon is a very good morph. Dragonscale Boon is decent. Roar of the Challenge doesn't fit in every deck, but if you're lacking a way to break a board stall, then Roar of the Challenge can really help. So if you're, let's say, lacking flyers or unblockables, I would certainly consider Roar of the Challenge. Segu Archer is also good. So yeah, green looks decent. It has a lot of good creatures, some morphs, and a few combat tricks. So green looks alright. Not perhaps the most exciting color, but I could certainly see playing it. Over to white, we have a Harrier Rush of Battle, which I would only really play if I have a few warriors. And I don't think we have, so I will put it on the side for now. Siegecraft I would also avoid playing. Dazzling Rampart is not awesome, so I'll put it on the side for now too. Jeskai Student I would only really play if I have enough non-creature spells. A 1/3 for 2 mana isn't great, so I'll put it on the side too. Mardu Hateblade is decent if you have access to black. War Behemoth can be alright. Defiant Strike is pretty easy to just put in a deck as your last card, as it draws you a card anyways. Suspension Field is very good removal. Siegecraft, go away. Erase is more of a sideboard card. Another War Behemoth, another Erase you can get rid of. Brave the Sands can be very good if you have a big Outlast theme, as you can take advantage of the vigilance you get by also pumping your creatures after combat. But usually this type of card isn't very good, so I would avoid it for now. Maybe we can get back to it later. Alabaster Curran is a fine playable, and Feat of Resistance is a very decent combat trick. So let's take a look at white. It's I guess decent. It's got 2 flyers, removal spell, 2 combat tricks, and 2 morphs. But again, it's nothing really super exciting. I think Suspension Field is maybe a reason to play these white cards. But let's move on to red, where we have a Monastery Swiftspear, which only makes it into aggressive decks or decks that can take advantage of the prowess, but usually a 1/2 haste for 1 mana isn't gonna cut it, even though it's very good in other formats. Hordling Outburst, on the other hand, 3 tokens, is very good to make a bunch of chump blockers, or if you're trying to go wide with something like Trumpet Blast, it can be very good, so it's definitely playable. Swift Kick is a pretty poor removal spell, so if you're really low on removal spells, I guess you could play this one, but I would avoid doing so in the first place. Bring Low, on the other hand, is a lot more solid than Swift Kick, so certainly playable. Same with Burn Away, very good burn spell, or rather removal spell. Summit Prowler is double red, but a 4/3 for 4 is not bad. And Enoch Tracker is a morph, and almost every morph is at least playable, and some of them are even very good. Then Valley Dasher is only for the aggressive decks, and looking at the card so far, I don't think we can really make that aggressive deck. We don't have a lot of Mardu token cards, so I don't think he'll make it. We can get back to him later. Another Summit Prowler. Trumpet Blast, again, if you're trying to go wide, could be a combo with Hordling Outburst, so I'll put it in the pile for now. Tormenting Voice can also be decent, as it gives you some good card selection. And Bloodfire Expert I would avoid playing, just because of the 1 toughness means it usually is gonna trade down with your opponent's creatures, and that's usually not a recipe for success. Alright, let's move over to blue. Or rather, let's browse through red real quick. So we have some decent creatures, some decent removal spells. Hordling Outburst is an exciting card for me here. And if we can support the 2 Summit Prowlers, we have some good creatures here for sure. So yeah, red looks alright to me. Perhaps not our main color, but could definitely be a supporting color. Let's go over to blue, where we have a Disdainful Stroke, which is an interesting card in a format full of morphs, as you can't counter the morphs or counter the morphs morphing or unmorphing. So it usually could make the deck the first copy to try and counter those big hitters in the late game, but you don't have to feel forced to play it, so I'm gonna put it in the pile for now, but I could definitely see putting it in the sideboard, and if the opponent has a lot of expensive spells, you can put it in the main. Force Away, on the other hand, is always a decent card at least. Monastery Flock is a morph, so like most morphs he's gonna make it, but it's not the most exciting morph. Mystic of the Hidden Way, on the other hand, is a very good morph, as it breaks board stalls, can attack the opponent if he has a bunch of blockers out, and you can keep your blockers for defense while you kill the opponent with an unblockable Mystic. Crippling Chill is also a very good blue card. 1000 Winds is just awesome. A 5/6 flyer for 6 mana is already very good, and then add on the morph ability and it makes it pretty insane. Jeskai Wind Scout is just a solid flyer. Wetland Sandbar is playable at 2-drop with 2 power. That can trade with most morphs, means that it's a good early play, but again, nothing exciting. Another Mystic of the Hidden Way is awesome. Taigam Scheming I would avoid. And Skullkin is alright, but not exciting. Alright, so blue looks like our deepest color so far, I would say. We have some very good creatures in Mystic of the Hidden Way, 1000 Winds is great, Crippling Chill is great, and Force Away is great, so I think blue is likely to be one of our main colors. But let's look at the artifacts here. Alright, so we have 4 banners, which aren't really exciting at all, since you're playing with all these morphs that cost 3 and you want to play those on turn 3 rather than a banner. But if you're really low on playables, or if your curve is bonkers, then I guess you could consider playing a banner. But in the first place you should consider playing another land instead of a banner. Cranial Archive is a weird card, but I guess in some decks you could consider it. And then Heartpiercer Bow is not really exciting. So out of all these artifacts, I don't think there's anyone that I would really consider main decking. Maybe Cranial Archive if you're a really slow deck, but... Alright, so we got rid of those. Then the lands. We picked up 3 Bloodfell Caves, a Thornwood Falls and a Rugged Highlands. So Temur has 2 cards, Mardu has 3 cards, but that's about it I think. So not the greatest mana base for what I've seen so far, but I think we can probably make use of a couple of them. And then our multicolor cards were pretty interesting this time around. We got a lot of different ones. The Vizier, probably the less exciting one. I don't think we're gonna be able to really make a dedicated mill deck where we can take advantage of the Vizier, even though we did see Scout the Borders and Taigam Scheming. But usually if you're relying on that one synergy to win you a game, and that's very unlikely to happen. We got a Ponyback Brigade, which is very awesome in the Mardu Trumpet Blast deck. Outer End, very good removal. Secret Plans, I would say you need about 10 morphs to really make it good. Don't think we have them, but we can take a look. Temur Charm, probably the worst of the charms, but still very good, just because it's so flexible. Abomination of Gudul, awesome morph. Avalanche Tusker is alright, but certainly not a super awesome rare. I think there's a lot of commons and uncommons that are better than this. Kintree Invocation, you need some high toughness creatures to really make it worth it. And I don't know if we have those, but we could certainly take a look at it. Efreet Weapon Master is a good solid morph. The Death Dealer is also a good early and late game creature, but you do need to be probably heavy black and green in order to really make him work. Another Secret Plans, Winterflame, always solid. Another Weapon Master, Knuckleblade, which is awesome. A Warden of the Eye is also very good. And another Abomination. So let's try and sort these by clan. So let's see, we've got 2 Abominations and the Vizier and Sultai. We've got Utterance and Ponybag Brigade for Mardu. Or perhaps the Utterance can also go in an Abzan deck with the Death Dealer, Kintry Invocation, and that's about it. And then in Temur we have Secret Plans, Temur Charm, Avalanche Tusker, another Secret Plans, Knuckleblade, and maybe even the Winterflame. So Temur looks pretty deep, although it does rely on those 2 Secret Plans, which I don't know if they will work. And then in Jeskai we have a Warden, 2 Weapon Masters, and some overlap with the Winterflame as well. So this is gonna be a pretty challenging deck to build, I think. So let's just start by building one clan, I would say, looking what cards we can splash and then comparing it to the other decks we can possibly build. So that's just what I'm gonna do now. I think I'll start by building a Temur deck, since blue, red and green all seem pretty promising, and then we can compare it later to the other decks. So I'll see you in a bit. Alright, welcome back. So I've taken a look at the Temur deck here, and it's mainly blue-green splashing red, but the one problem I see with this deck is that the mana base to support the red splash isn't great. We only have the 1 Rugged Highlands, so we would only have like maybe 4, maximum 5 red sources to support these 7 red cards. So that's definitely not great, but we do have to say that most of these red cards are still fine in the late game. 2 of them, 3 of them are removal. Then there's some more counters and big creatures that are very good in the late game. So we definitely don't need the red super early to be able to use those red cards. Then we do have a lot of morphs, which is nice, so we will always be able to cast a 3-drop even if our mana base isn't great. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 morphs, 2 mystics for the late game evasion, Loxodon, very big blocker and attacker, Sego Archer, 1000 Winds is great, and I even put the Enoch Tracker in there just because you can always play him as a morph and try and trade him early with other morphs. And in the late game, when you do have access to the red, you can try and unmorph him for 5 mana. So let's see. We would be playing 18 lands, which I think is more or less the norm for sealed nowadays, just because you want to be sure to hit that 3rd land drop in order to be able to cast all those morph cards. Then the strengths of this deck is definitely the creatures, I think. We have cards like Savage Knuckleblade, 2 Mystics, 1000 Winds, Sultai Flare is also great, Avalanche Tusker and Hooting Mandrills are all excellent. We have some decent removal in Burn Away, Bring Low, Then Crippling Chill and Force Away as sort of tempo plays. Winter Flame and Temur Charm are also excellent. And we even have a Disdainful Stroke in order to have at least a counter in the late game, together with Temur Charm. So I think the deck is pretty well balanced. It might struggle in the early game against aggressive decks, because it's only got this 1/2 drop creature and relying heavily on morphs. I did consider the secret plans we have, but with only 7 morphs, I don't feel super comfortable playing the secret plans. But if we're worried about the red splash being too greedy, we could possibly remove a couple red cards in order to fit in the secret plans. But the problem is that the red is important because it's our biggest source of removal. And if we get rid of it, then there's a pretty big hole in our plan. So this deck looks decent. I would be pretty happy to play it. I did consider maybe even splashing some black for the Abomination of Gudul, but I think our mana base isn't stable enough to support a 4th color, so I didn't go for it here. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this Temur deck. Let's now take a look at some other options and compare the decks and see what our final decision will be. Alright, welcome back. This is the Sultai version of the sealed pool that actually looks pretty awesome now that I look at it. It's got a lot more morphs than the previous version. This got 9 morphs, including 2 Abomination of Gudul, 2 Mystic of the Hidden Way, which are all awesome. Our only 3 drop that isn't a morph is our Jeskai Wind Scout. Then we still have Force Away, Crippling Chill, so not a lot of removal. That's the main problem I see with this deck. It's got Debilitating Injury splashed from black, and then it's got Dragon Scale Boon as a combat trick. So it is relying heavily on the morphs, but it does mean we get to play with secret plans, since we do have 9 morphs. I think you could even play both secret plans in this deck, because we are mainly blue and green. So yeah, I mean, playing 18 lands, we don't have a lot of fixing. We only have this Thornwood Falls, which means we have to limit our black splash. So right now our only black cards are the 2 Abominations, a Krumar Bondkin, a Debilitating Injury and a Kintri Invocation, as well as a Vizier, which might already be a little too greedy on the mana base, given that we only have 1 land for fixing. So we could perhaps take out the Vizier or the Kintri Invocation. 1 card I already removed is the Death Dealer, since if we're relying on the black splash to cast this, it's only going to come into play, let's say, on turn 4 or turn 5 on average, which by then this isn't great. If we only get 1 activation, it's not great either. So I took out the Death Dealer in this deck. I could also see taking out some of these other black 2-drops. But yeah, this deck looks interesting. If you want to have some fun with secret plans, I think this is the best home for it. But the curve is pretty stacked on 3, and we don't have a lot of cards that can remove other creatures. So it's a pretty fragile plan. You're relying on the Abomination and Mystic of the Hidden Way to get there. So it does have a lot of evasion, which is a good thing. Yeah, well, I don't know if it's a lot better than the Temur version, just because the Temur version had a lot more removal, which is definitely an important part of sealed. So right now, between the Sultai and the Temur, I would probably still go for the Temur deck, but it's a close call. So yeah, let's go over to a third deck and compare with the previous ones. Alright, welcome back. This is the Jeskai build of this sealed pool, which does look interesting as well. We've got a pretty light white splash just for Warden of the Eye, 2 Efreet Weapon Master and a suspension field. But it's kind of necessary to keep the splash light because we don't have any fixing for it. As you can see, none of our lands really match with the Jeskai colors. And again, I don't want to be playing a banner, so the splash is pretty light, which is alright. Then we're mainly blue and red. We've got a lot of morphs again, but this time around we can also play some cards that require double red, like Hordling Outburst and Summit Prowler, which I think are both pretty good. Our removal is also very decent. We've got Force Away and Crippling Chill, Winter Flame, Bring Low and Burn Away, as well as this Scaldkin over here. And a lot of evasion with Thousand Winds, Mystic of the Hidden Way, Jeskai Wind Scout, and Scaldkin over here, as well as ways to deal big chunks of damage with the Efreet Weapon Master, with things like Trumpet Blast combined with Hordling Outburst or combined with creatures with evasion. These are 23 cards, which means we only get to play 17 lands, and I would like to get it up to 18 lands if possible. So cards I could see removing are Disdainful Stroke or Tormenting Voice, or perhaps the Trumpet Blast might be a little too cute. But yeah, I think this deck is decent, although I think the mana base will be a problem, since we don't have any fixing. So between this Jeskai and the Temur, I would probably still go with the Temur deck, although again they're pretty close, just because they're relying on the same blue cards that are very good. But yeah, this is the third build, and I guess we can take a look at a fourth one as well, since we do have a lot of fixing here in black and red, so perhaps a Mardu deck can come out of this. So let's see you in another while. Welcome back. This is the Mardu version of the sealed pool, and it's a white-red splashing black deck with a lot of removal. It's pretty aggressive. It's got some token synergies with Trumpet Blast, and it's got some decent creatures. Right now we would be only playing 17 lands, and I would like to get that up to 18. So we would have to remove one card here. Our candidates to be removed are the Mardu Skull Hunter, since we are splashing black and a black 2-drop as a splash isn't great. I could definitely see getting rid of it. Other candidates are perhaps Defiant Strike if it doesn't do anything, or perhaps Mardu Hateblade since it's just a 1/1. So we have some options, but it's got a pretty weak evasive strategy. It's got a lot of tokens, which is good, with the Ponyback Brigade and Hordling Outburst, which combines nicely with Trumpet Blast. Its creatures aren't great. We have a few morphs here, but War Behemoth doesn't really go in an aggressive strategy. But yeah, the best feature is probably the removal. We get to play with Suspension Field, Debilitating Injury, Utterend, Bring Low, Burn Away, and even 2 Rite of the Serpent. So if you're looking for a deck with a lot of removal, I think the Mardu is the best so far. But again, the creature base isn't super exciting. So I think that's the main weakness of this deck. You're playing with some pretty mediocre cards here. I don't think we can add a 4th color here, because even though we do have these Bloodfell Caves, the mana base wouldn't be awesome if we try and add another color. And I don't really see any cards I would want to add that could make the deck. So yeah, I don't think this deck is excellent. It could definitely win some games. But if I would have to rank all our seal decks so far, I would probably go with Temur first, then Sultai second, Jeskai third, and the Mardu here 4th. Even though it's got great removal, again the creatures aren't great. So yeah, I took a look at the Abzan cards, but we don't have a lot of Abzan gold cards, and we have no mana fixing for Abzan, so I don't think that's even a consideration here. So yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this sealed deck exercise. I wanna thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.